We're headed over to pick up an amazing find for the M3 build. This honestly might be too good to be true. We're about to go find out. All right, guys, so if you've been following the channel and if you've watched the first episode, you know that a big piece of the M3 build that I'm doing is the interior. So a lot of parts have been showing up in the mail from some of the people I've ordered them from. A lot of it's coming from Europe. Seat covers for the Recaros in the front, trim pieces, lots of Alcantara stuff, steering wheels, you name it. But the one piece I've been trying to figure out is we're doing cinnamon on the Recaros. How are we going to get cinnamon through the rest of the interior? So plan A was actually to re-dye everything. I've got the Dove Gray, so it's got a lot of gray trim. It's got gray carpets. It's got gray seats. The gray seats probably would have re-dyed pretty easily, just given that they're a lot lighter than, say, black or something like that. Watched a lot of videos online. Actually looked pretty straightforward. Was sort of looking forward to learning something new in the process. The carpets can also be dyed, and the process, again, seemed pretty straightforward. But as you can imagine, that would have been a ton of labor. There's a lot of gray in that interior. So plan B was to potentially find the parts. A lot of it was gonna probably be piecemeal. It's easy to find maybe a set of rear seats. It's easy to find maybe some door cards, some rear panel cards, center console piece. I mean, I might have had to buy from like 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Piece it over time, wait quite a while, maybe refinish some of the parts myself and mix that in with what I bought. And it just would have been a lot of work and effort in that sense. Option 3 is something I really never even considered, because it's almost impossible to find full E46 interiors in really good shape in unique colors like Imola Red or Cinnamon or what have you. So, buddy of mine, buy some over at Parker's Detailing. Definitely go check him out. I owe him a huge shout out for the help here. He reached out to me a few days ago and said, here's a link. Somebody posted this in this Atlanta BMW group. Looks like they're selling a full cinnamon and black interior, which is exactly what you're looking for your build. Just check it out. Turns out it's a guy that works for Eurofed here in Atlanta, which is one of the shops I use all the time. So big shout out to those guys. Mickey and his crew are always great. So Alex over at Eurofed is a big BMW guy. He is parting out a car. They're doing a wagon conversion on this M3, which is super cool and like a whole nother thing. And this happens to have this cinnamon interior in really, really nice shape. So I went over and checked that out. And now we're going to pick it up. So amazing find. The interior is like 10 minutes from my house. It's everything I need, every part and piece and trim and plastic piece and the carpets and everything. So I'm going to pick that up, and then I'll walk you through basically how to remove your entire interior and install a whole new interior. Then of course we'll do a video on the Sportster CS Recaro seats themselves and the AMX covers and how those get installed and so on. But nonetheless, it's going to be a huge shortcut. I also love the fact that this is going to be a factory, OEM original interior in the cinnamon. It's going to last a long time. And just for potential resale, like that's going to mean something to the next buyer, that this wasn't a Dove Gray interior that was like fully re-dyed. It's an actual legit OEM interior. So let's go ahead and pick it up, get it loaded up, bring it back here to the house in the garage, store it, and go ahead and start teeing up this really important part of the build. As you guys can see, we are in the D1. I will say one thing I love about this car is its convenience. It is very, very helpful from a utility standpoint. It borders on almost being as helpful as a pickup truck. Never owned one, but obviously having a truck bed is really, really helpful. But in this sense, just having this rear area with this much cargo room and the high top and the large swing out door in the back is just really, really practical for situations just like this, where we're driving to go pick up an entire car interior. Want to try to fit it in on one trip. So stay tuned on that series. I've got a couple other build episodes coming, but yeah, loving this build, loving this truck. It's super, super convenient and super helpful for projects and car builds. So like I said, literally 10 minutes from the house. Super lucky in that sense. But yeah, the car is here at Bucket Imports. So we're here to pick it up. All right, guys, so we're on trip 1 of 2. We've got a lot loaded up in the car. Actually, I'm surprised that it didn't all fit in here. I guess the whole interior is a lot more than you actually realize. But anyway, stuff looks great. Guys that are selling it couldn't be cooler. Took it apart, laid it out so I could see everything. It was super organized, so definitely appreciate that. But yeah, we've got a lot of it here and super excited to get this home to start the project. Gonna make one more trip and then we'll be done. Okay, so we got the second batch. As you can see behind me, it does include the front seats. I'm not gonna be using the front seats, but I understand the buyer didn't want to split it up. Totally get it. It is hard to sell a set of front seats by themselves, but I'm gonna work on it. Hopefully there is somebody out there with a cinema interior that's looking for front seats in good shape, because these are really pretty mint. They came out of a low mileage car. So anyway, I'm gonna lay this all out at home in the home garage. That way you can see all the parts and pieces that make up the interior. Figured that'd be helpful if you are thinking about doing a swap. You can kind of get a sense of all the stuff you're gonna need. It's not just the seats. I know that's pretty obvious, but there's just a lot to it. So I'll lay all that out, give you guys an overview of what we bought in the way of the interior swap, and then of course we'll get to installing. Okay, so to say that this was good timing is an understatement. So the original plan to swap out the Dove Gray on this car was to do a DIY and basically re-dye everything that is in here. Now, that would obviously be quite the undertaking. As you can see, there's a ton of gray in here. You've got the front seats, you've got the center console that connects all the way to the dash. This is all one piece. You've got this piece in the back here. You've got all the door cards, including the rears, even though obviously these aren't doors, they're door cards sort of in the rear. You've got the rear seats, you've got the rear package shelf, you've got all of this plastic trim that runs along here. You've got the carpets, okay, underneath these floor mats, which are new, is the Dove Gray carpets. So I bought these to go with the new interior, the black interior. Just everything. And so re-dyeing it, you know, I watched a lot of videos, certainly something that I probably could have done. I think it would have actually been kind of an interesting DIY project, but would have been a ton of work. I mean, this interior would have been disassembled for weeks at least, probably, if not more. So let me show you what we got before I start taking this apart and working on the interior build. Just want to give you an overview. Thought it might be really helpful if you've ever wondered like what a full interior is. I think a lot of people think seats, obviously, then they think door cards, but there's really a lot that goes into an interior. If you want to do a swap, you know, a lot of people out there have Dove Gray, maybe want to go to different colors. So let's go start to finish in no particular order, but first and foremost, front and rear carpets. So these are two pieces. They basically go over the middle hump. This is the rear on top, the front are underneath. These happen to be in really amazing shape. I mean, they are dirty. I'm certainly gonna like shampoo them, clean them, get them totally spiffed up. But as you can see, like no major stains, no major issues. There's really not much wear at all on the driver's side, which is amazing. So we've got interior black carpet, which will cover all that. Next up, we've got the dash. So this is all one large piece. So it comes down to the center console, goes all the way back to that area that is gray on mine. This one happened to come with all the vents and everything, so this would be an easy swap. The dash is obviously going to be the hardest part from an install perspective, but the fact that this one has all the vents and everything is perfect. Essentially, you're going to have to take out the center cluster, which I have to do anyway because I've got the new shifter coming from Auto Solutions. I've got to take out, unfortunately, the audio system, the head unit, which I just installed, so that'll be a little bit of a pain. The gauge cluster obviously needs to come out. The steering area has to be manipulated, but nonetheless, once all that's out, this is the swap, so all one piece. We've got all these miscellaneous trim pieces, so these two run on either side of the doors, essentially on the inside down by the door sills. And then these two pieces connect up to the corners on the inside of the car there. And then door cards. So we've got the front cards here in amazing shape. We are missing a little piece here. I've got to either locate, came loose on the transport, or just pick that up, no big deal. But these are in really nice shape. This handle needs to be messed with, or maybe I'll swap out the other handle from this car if that's doable. The armrests are being swapped in terms of these pieces here. So we're actually going to move this trim on to another buyer. This trim is super interesting. It is a ZHP, so the competition they call Alutech or Altech. It's like a brushed aluminum kind of geometric pattern. Really beautiful trim, actually, not my thing. If you watch the first video of my series, I'm doing with Alcantara, which I will step you through on the series. Nonetheless, this will be moving on another buyer. That is one nice thing about some of these things. When you pick up something, maybe it's got certain things you don't need or something's not your taste. You know, you can always sell that stuff, especially in the market for like an E46 or a Porsche or something for usually a pretty good amount. So that's very helpful. So these are in really nice shape. Leather's in good condition. Same thing with the rears. These are in great shape as well. Center console piece here. This is missing a couple of elements. Needs to be cleaned up, but overall it's in nice shape. I have all the parts from the gray interior that are actually black, I think, on that. These seats, so the front seats are in actually really nice condition. This is the passenger side. Obviously that's the driver's side. You can see it's got a little bit more wear, but nonetheless, no rips, no tears. Color's in good shape. These are actually already sold, so I won't be using these. These are the Recaro Sportster CS seats in these boxes here. The covers from AMX are on the way. I'll show you that in a second, the sample, but these are going to another owner. So again, between selling these and selling these trims, you know, I offset honestly probably about half of what I spent on this interior. So it's always something, if you've watched the channel, you know I do on these builds. Glove box, rear seats, including all the parts and pieces, rear headrests. So that is what a full interior looks like. It's a lot of stuff, but it's manageable. And so super lucky to have found this all in one piece or all in one set. That way we can go ahead and do a swap pretty easily. This is the sample from AMX in terms of the covers that will be going on the Recaro Sportster CS seats that are in those boxes. Really nice match. Overall, the leather is a little more matte, and I knew that going into it. It's not that bad though. The front seats tend to be the shiniest of the bunch on these interiors. All of these are actually a pretty nice sheen match. These are a little bit more matte. So when we clean these, and I'll kind of step you through that, we're gonna use Color Lock to clean and protect and shield all of this leather. We're gonna actually do most of this, I think, before we put it in, just because I'll be able to really get to all the areas like around the corners and stuff like that. But when we do that, we are going to be careful not to buff too hard because we don't want to shine this up at all. We really want this to stay matte for two reasons. Number one, I like a matte look. Number two, this is exactly what the seats from AMX are going to look like. And it might be hard to pick up on camera there, but there really isn't any sheen to this. It's very much like a matte finish. So we'll be doing those seats. The covers are being shipped. They're on the way, coming from overseas. And then these will be the accent seat belts on the build. So we're gonna go with this blue color, which really kind of picks up from this M blue. Okay, so it's that middle blue if you're looking at this, not the one on the left, but the middle M blue, kind of that nice medium. So we're gonna go with that on the calipers with new M logos and everything. And then we're gonna carry that into the interior with accent seat belts that I think are gonna look just like super sharp. So if you watch my other builds, and as I mentioned in the opening video, I always do an accent color just to kind of tie everything together, and I think that's gonna work really well. Obviously blue and orange, and it's kind of a cognac, this cinnamon color. Obviously those are complementary colors, so it's gonna look really good. But that's the overview, so stay tuned. We're gonna do the install, well, sort of the removal, the install, you know, all kinds of stuff. So this interior is obviously gonna be like multi-part, but just want to give you guys the overview of what was an awesome find. Again, can't say enough thanks to Bison, Parker's Detailing, and just the local M3 BMW community here in Atlanta that is awesome and has great people and is a great place to source parts. So that's what we're starting with.